Happy Friday. I'm the Grace Strega, and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Friday, December 1st, 2023. What do we have coming through in the cards for today? May I please have the first 5 cards in our 5-card spread? First card we are starting our day off with today is Sun in its reversal. So, one of the things that we need to navigate, as I've been mentioning, there's been a little bit of a slowdown happening. Guys, we are on the cusp of the Mercury in retrograde. We've got a lot of that heavy energy that's been coming up over the last few days. I need to stress that one of the things that we've been seeing right now is a breakthrough through a point of... Why are we seeing this right now? Because one of the breakthrough points that we saw was feminine, bearing in mind that this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to, articulating to masculine their own doubts and fears, and potentially even amplifying to masculine that they were feeling somewhat alone in that modality. Masculine and feminine right now are navigating hurdles that they realize that there's only so much that they can tangibly do to support the other one. There's a lot of energy happening this week related to internal battles. Whenever we're going through the energy of an internal battle, it can be very hard, even when we're in divine union. Specifically, due to the fact that we recognize that in this modality, there is something here that we can do everything that we can to support one another, but internally, it is effectively our battle. Masculine and feminine, even if in divine union right now, are going through a moment where they are effectively recognizing that they're doing everything they can to support one another in this moment, but effectively there is something about what the other energy is experiencing right now that almost feels a little bit like it is impossible to be able to take some kind of practical effort or energy around it right now. Now, for masculine and feminine that are going through this right now, this was almost further amplified in the fact of masculine potentially even revealing or opening up to feminine to a certain degree around their own doubts, their own fears, effectively showing them feminine to a certain extent. I also share those anxieties. I simply don't show them to you because I know that you as a reflector will simply amplify whatever I bring forth towards you. Masculine and feminine that are experiencing this right now, there is that moment of it just holding space for one another as you navigate some of these internal hurdles and difficulties right now. But again, this is a connective tissue moment. This isn't something that feels like it is breaking things apart so much as it is holding you closer together as you proceed to do so. Now, masculine and feminine that are moving into divine union and divine partnership right now, what we are effectively seeing is this point of optics as it relates to anxieties, fears, doubts potentially coming to the surface. And this may create a bit of a space of hurdle. Now, I need to articulate and amplify something before we move from the energy that's in divine union right now over to the energy that is coming into divine union. Because one of the things that we also saw and recognized that may have effectively happened yesterday that is creating that space of difficulty, anger, even potentially frustration right now has to do with something that the feminine potentially opened up to around the masculine energy. What did we effectively see potentially happen during yesterday? We even saw that in some of that emotional unpacking that may have occurred yesterday, there may have been a moment that we see that the feminine opened up to masculine in a space or place of potentially revealing where the feminine energy, because we saw that the feminine energy was expressing some moment of doubt, fear, uncertainty in their own ability. Masculine potentially moving towards feminine if in divine union and partnership, almost from a point of inquiry, trying to understand where these feelings sprung from, which may have had the feminine opening up to the masculine in a degree, in a way of showing them something that occurred to them, either in the past, either distant past or long trauma that they've been holding. What's so difficult for the masculine to see this right now is these energies are in such tight harmony that experiencing that, seeing the feminine articulate that, almost immediately feels like it is the masculine sharing that same burden. And this is what I mean when I say that the masculine may be feeling this moment right now where there's a lot of anger and frustration, wanting to protect and defend the feminine energy, bearing in mind that this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. But at the same time, recognizing that they effectively can't, right? It's almost that moment of masculine, like wanting to take an action point on something, but almost realizing that the thing that they want to take an action point on isn't even something that's tangibly here. It's something the feminine has expressed occurred that's causing the masculine in this moment of frustration. Feminine may be experiencing and seeing this right now on the part of masculine that effectively also communicated their doubts and fears. And again, feeling that moment of experiencing the weight and grief Another is holding, but not necessarily being able to do anything to immediately alleviate it, because these are long held hurts. Masculine and feminine right now that are moving into divine union frequency, this is a moment that is feeling a bit like a point of frustration. Why are we seeing this? Because we saw that some of this is now actually a result of the feminine's own trepidation in some of the changes that they're effectively seeing in the masculine energy right now. For a lot of the feminine and masculine energy that are moving into divine union right now, there's something here that is a little hard for the feminine to experience, because it's almost this moment of feeling like the masculine changed positions overnight. Masculine went from being on one side of something to suddenly being on the other side, being potentially much more eager and willing, wanting to take immediate action, potentially around something that prior to this they seemed very resistant or more diminished or reluctant to do. For the feminine in this modality, masculine, you may be experiencing this right now as a feminine that seems more trepidatious, that seems like, in a way, like almost trying to slow things down. And this could be creating a moment of strife, even for the energy trying to come into divine union right now. But it's really important that you're able to understand what is happening here. Because what is happening here is not a feminine that is showing a point of not desiring what the masculine is bringing forth at this time, but rather, and what we saw was effectively the feminine trying to articulate this to the masculine, either holding it within or actually expressing it, this is a feminine energy that is feeling the anxiety of a rug that maybe get pulled out from underneath them. Because this is happening so quickly that this is almost a feminine energy that may even be amplifying and articulating to the masculine at this time, that there's some kind of deeper fear here, that what the masculine is offering, because it's become so quick, because it seems like such a change, the feminine is having a hard time almost trusting what is coming through, either because, and this is where we see that these energies are coming back into alignment, feminine is expressing their own anxiety as it relates to situations and circumstances in the past wherein they may have felt like the rug was pulled out from them in moments like this in the past, wherein masculine has to bear the emotional, energetic burden of experiencing and seeing a feminine that is trepidatious of accepting what the masculine is trying to bring towards them from a place of genuine desire, versus a feminine potentially, and if this is an old energy here, articulating that this is a feminine energy that feels the anxiety of a masculine that may have done something like this similar in the past, or feeling that point of anxiety of a feminine saying, this is happening so quickly, I'm just scared it's all going to go away again, or that you're going to effectively change your mind. For both of the energies right now, this is feeling like a little bit of that, like that frustration moment, because again, it's not the fact that you don't desire the divine union to come into play, but it is the fear, it is the anxiety of the potentiality for disappointment here that is now starting to weigh on the energy. So it's really important, if you're experiencing this right now, that you use this as a moment of amplification to really stress that you are going to be supportive in this moment, and instead of really letting this be a point of amplifying or running because you see these points of anxiety coming to the surface. Masculine and feminine energy that are in separation right now, this is the feminine energy bearing some of the brunt on where they find themselves at this time. I need to stress, this is not a feminine energy that desired disconnection. This is not a feminine energy that wanted to walk away from something. We're even seeing potentially that this is the feminine energy that tried to build that emotional bridge, tried to reach out to a masculine at a time when they needed the masculine, but instead of getting that connection point, we saw that the feminine energy felt some validation that the masculine was not there for the feminine in the same way that the feminine would be there for the masculine. Feminine was almost in a space or place of recognizing and acknowledging that at a moment's notice, they would be at the side of the masculine energy if in separation. But something that they saw over the last few days has amplified to the feminine of feeling like this is not a masculine that would similarly share that modality or frequency. For the feminine, this is feeling like a lot of that heaviness coming into play, because again, we're seeing here that this is a feminine energy that's almost intentionally forcing themselves to close off their heart space. They're not moving in the direction that their heart is guiding them to, because they're telling themselves that the direction that the heart is guiding them to is not in their spiritual or emotional best interest. That is why we see that the feminine energy, if in separation right now, is potentially holding on to a lot of this grief, because it's not necessarily a space or place where the feminine would desire to be. It is one that, again, through the act of stoicism, they know they need to persevere and endure through. Feminine learning that gift of stoicism. Masculine, if in separation right now, this is a moment of, again, you are also simultaneously feeling that level of grief. You are mirroring the feminine right now in separation, but a lot of this potentially has to do with the circumstances and situations that are currently at play that now feel like you are not able to come into partnership with feminine energy. Again, there is a point of observation that has been happening right now for the masculine energy if in separation, in terms of having that point of optics, seeing something from a perspective that you may not necessarily have been able to see things before. And again, this is either interpreting right now as a masculine that is pushing off a lot of people that are trying to give you this point of insight on your own self right now, which is potentially feeling very isolating. This is why I mentioned for the masculine energy and separation right now, I want you really to be focusing on self-care at this moment, making sure that you don't let yourself get overwhelmed with that feeling, because for half of the masculine energy and separation right now, this is feeling like a lot of a point of isolation in terms of no one understanding you, or feeling like you're disengaging from a lot of energy that doesn't match, that almost like doesn't see you for the way that you think that you truly are. Or this is masculine energy that is feeling the weight of recognizing that you feel like something about your actions is being misunderstood, that you've gotten a clarity now in terms of how the way you were moving potentially may have been causing some of this difficulty, but it is how to move out of this vibration right now that is feeling like a challenge point. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now, second card in our 5-card spread for today is, we like this, it's communication, masculine and feminine energy right now. If in divine union and partnership, this is that moment. But again, this is the value of the divine union and partnership frequency. It's not that you're having a day that's all sunshine and rainbows, but you can talk about it. You have someone to talk about it with. You're almost expressing those things between one or the other of you. You're going through, you're holding space for each other through any of these difficulties, any of these adversities. And in a way, one of the things that we appreciate about this is you're taking this negative and you are turning it into a positive. You are utilizing this as a moment of productivity. You are utilizing this as a point of activation. This is taking that feeling, taking those doubts, taking those fears. And again, I kind of articulated or amplified that for a lot of the energy right now, again, even though masculine and feminine in divine union right now may be feeling like there is a slowing down that's happening, the way I like to articulate it was like a slowdown, a wheel of fortune in its reverse moment is perfectly okay as long as you're content and happy with where you find yourselves when things slow down. Masculine and feminine to a certain extent are optimizing on any of this feeling of slowness, any of these hurdles. It's like the hurdle itself is not necessarily a hurdle so much as it's allowing for a point of putting invested interest in other places and spaces. It's navigating around any of the setbacks. That is the beauty and power of the divine union. It's leading to productivity. Masculine and feminine right now that are trying to come into divine union, this is a lot of the conversation that's potentially happening right now, because what did we see was potentially happening for the energy trying to come into divine union at this time? Feminine is expressing their fears, their anxieties, their doubts, their uncertainty. Masculine, potentially you're feeling this moment of observing that and potentially having to alleviate a lot of those fears, alleviate a lot of those concerns, almost amplifying to the feminine, trying to say, listen, the whole reason I'm taking action on this is to try to show you that these are not just words that I'm saying. This is me actually putting the effort and energy in to show you that I want to make these tangible changes. And for feminine, there is an anxiety of the feminine almost saying to the masculine, my fear is that this is something that is coming and it's going to go just as quickly. Masculine is almost trying to reaffirm to the feminine and say that that is not the case. So even now, this could be feeling like a little bit of a conflict point, making sure to be able to hold space for each other and your doubts and fears and not let yourself amplify or get touchy or get, triggered because someone is expressing them is going to be very key right now, especially, my friends, because we're on the cusp of the Mercury retrograde. So we don't want anyone to get misunderstood if there is a concern that is arising, but instead utilizing it from a space of curiosity and productivity instead of recrimination. Masculine and feminine that are in separation right now, this is the feminine energy effectively not letting themselves get caught on the hump of their own feeling. I told you this is a feminine energy if in separation. It's not the fact that the feminine is pleased about it, but we see the fact that the feminine is not letting their own sense of sadness stop them right now in terms of what it is that they are truly after. The feminine is almost recommitting to themselves and saying to themselves that their unhappiness is further amplification on why they are doing what they must do in order to proceed forward at this time. This is almost a feminine energy that feels to a certain extent, and again, this is either a feminine energy, especially if there's some of this old energy coming back right now, or trying to amplify to the feminine that desire, because we see here that the feminine energy in separation has a lot of masculine energy potentially around them right now in one shape or form. This is a feminine energy that is now open, almost allowing themselves back out into the world, allowing themselves available, looking now into that mode of seeker as opposed to someone that is staying in place right now. This is a feminine energy that's almost saying to themselves that they're not going to let themselves dwell in this feeling, but instead utilize that, take that energy and push it forward into spaces and places of productivity. Even through, like, this is feminine basically like pushing through beyond a broken heart, and potentially even articulating to the energy that's creating that sense of crises in the feminine exactly why they feel like they need to do the things that they need to do at this time. Masculine energy, if in separation right now, this is a moment. I keep seeing a lot of potential masculine energy right now, putting a lot of plans into play. That feeling of dissatisfaction is either being embodied in one of two different modalities. This is either the masculine energy that is utilizing this moment to try to come into a space or place of easement, potentially articulating to energy where any of this hurdle happened. Almost again, that point of accountability, that point of communication, trying to navigate any of these setbacks by amplifying to the feminine by means of apology or by means of accountability, that they now understand what they need to do to change. Or this is masculine energy that is not embodying these lessons to the same degree that they would effectively identify with, and instead potentially making a lot of plans to travel, a lot of plans to move around. It's almost like this is coming through as a sense of dissatisfaction, potentially even feeling like the energy around you doesn't necessarily understand you, or is creating a point of conflict, wherein instead they were trying to give you this point of insight about one's own self. So for some of the masculine energy right now, this could be making a lot of plans to like move autonomously and to travel. While for the other part of the masculine collective right now, this is that moment of wanting to come into a point of correction through communication. Third card in our 5-card spread, center card is, what did I say? Masculine and feminine energy that are in divine union and divine partnership at this moment. What we're effectively saying is, again, for masculine and feminine that are in divine union and partnership right now, this is taking a negative and just immediately translating it into a positive. It is amplifying. It is working through the hurdle. It is feeling that point of negativity, but not letting it effectively stop you. Instead, it's almost leading you to and push forward again, and that's going to be through healthy communication, articulating, taking that low point and again utilizing it as a high point. That's what I meant by the slowdown yesterday, not effectively stopping the energy in divine union. It's almost this moment of masculine and feminine going through this moment saying to themselves, this too shall pass. We can overcome these obstacles. We can overcome these hurdles. Masculine and feminine are taking any slowdowns as an opportunity to open up new avenues of pursuit. These are going to be new projects, new plans, new options. This is masculine and feminine, again, in the divine union vibration, are almost like saying, like, nothing's going to stop us. You know what I mean? Like, we're just going to continue forward. And anything that feels like it's going to stop us isn't a point of stopping. It's more of going to feel like a little bit more of like, that stinks. Onwards anyway, continuing forward to a certain extent, but making sure to hold the space to help each other through any of those hurdles or setbacks. Masculine and feminine that are trying to come into divine union right now, what we're effectively seeing is this is a moment that if in divine union you're trying to come into divine union, this is that moment that needs to be amplified and clarified as to what this change was that's created such a sudden shift. What did we say that the feminine is feeling anxious about if this is moving into divine union? Seeing something on the part of the masculine that feels like a very sudden shift. This is potentially feminine energy saying to masculine, Can you please clarify what this shift is? What happened that's caused all of this influx of new activity? The problem with this is, for the energy that's experiencing this, is potentially a masculine that's having a really hard time amplifying it. Because again, this is a masculine energy that is almost saying to a certain extent that they had no control over how they feel. It's kind of like feeling like one day, it's like it almost feels to the masculine right now. They're almost being like, one day I woke up like this week and suddenly I realized that like, you're the place I wanted to be. Like, you're like, this is something that's here and I need to like navigate this now. Masculine in a certain extent is again almost moving very quickly right now because there's that fear, like that energy of love, that feeling of protecting the divine union is actually amplifying in a feeling of anxiety. That's why the masculine isn't even articulating on it, which is like the feeling isn't one of like an abundance of love. It's almost coming through as like I kind of described it earlier this week, like an oh no kind of feeling, because it's like this influx of feeling around this is something that you didn't necessarily try to cultivate. It just kind of created itself in building that point of recognizing the value of the intrinsic divine union that is now forming between you and another and the feminine energy. Bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. Masculine and feminine that are in separation right now. This is why the feminine energy is just not letting this be a moment that they are stopping. Why? Because feminine energy not only got amplification that validated their own feelings, if in a point of separation from a lot of healthy karmic energy over the last week, but it also set a template for the feminine. Having to go to the energy of the healed karmics as opposed to the energy of the masculine that may have pushed off the needs. Feminine basically having to take that unhealed karmic energy to the door of healed karmics gave feminine energy a template of what a good karmic partnership looks like. Feminine literally saw it as they were getting confirmation from that same energy that what they're experiencing was not what they were getting the advice from. And this is a feminine that effectively, again, even though they are feeling sadness right now, there's a feeling that they can't change that energy. That something that they see here is just something that needs to be accepted. And that is why the feminine, even though they're feeling that moment of sadness, is not letting it effectively stop them in their pursuit forward right now, because this is a feminine energy that has gotten, I said like confirmation of what they need is there. They saw it. They had a spotting of it in the wild. Like they're like, there it is. I've seen it. I know it can be. And this is feminine effectively going on their own journey to basically seek it out for themselves, even with a heavy heart, which is why we see a lot of this feminine energy in separation. Again, it's not that you're loving it, but you're ready to like pursue that path forward right now. Masculine. If in separation, again, this is either going to feel like, and the hard part with masculine right now is this point of sadness that you're currently experiencing. It feels like a backwards or forwards pull right now. For the masculine in this moment, whatever this point of observation is, whatever this sadness that you're carrying, this is a moment of either trying to make peace, trying to heal it via communication, via that point of being able to articulate and amplify to see if there's some kind of possibility of restoration now that you understand and identify these lessons. Or this is translating in the opposite direction of a masculine says, do I go forward or do I go backward? Do I go forward or do I go backwards? And for a lot of the masculine right now, the uncertainty is in these two spaces because both have their own detriments or benefits. Masculine realizes how much conversation is going to be necessary to be able to come into a point of accountability here. This isn't something that can be immediately like eased by just like a singular hello. There's a lot of conversation. There's a lot of accountability. There's a lot of explanation here if this relates to circumstances and situations from the past, because masculine almost realizes that they need to amplify to feminine, that they understand all of the changes that have occurred within the self right now that cause some of the things to be the way that they are at this moment. Or this is a masculine saying that is channeling this into planning for the future, not looking behind them, just literally just like not letting that be a point of accountability, but just pursuing forward on this journey, but carrying a lot of this heavy heart energy in the process. Fourth card in our 5-card spread for today is, we have here our Queen of Swords, and we love to see this. Now, Masculine and feminine energy that are in divine union right now. This is what we really appreciate for the energy that's in divine union and partnership at this moment. What has been happening with the masculine and feminine energy? All right. For masculine and feminine energy, as I indicated, there's been a very valuable lesson that's happening right now in the divine union. Feminine was feeling a point of overwhelm. Feminine was taking on a lot of the energetic issues of the energy around them, even as it related to some circumstances and situations over the last week. Remember when I said there were some man energies in separation going towards healthy karmic partnerships? This is feminine potentially taking on a lot of that weight. Now, masculine and feminine right now, they're navigating some of these hurdles or these issues right now. What we're effectively seeing is, again, feminine is learning via means of the divine union and partnership. What is feminine learning? We just saw that feminine was going through a point of conversation with masculine, and just as masculine is learning how to open their heart space right now in divine union and recognizing that that's a safe space to be, masculine is helping the feminine energy work on their own sense of boundaries, building those boundaries for themselves, coming from a state or space of holding strength to a certain extent. We see here that, again, feminine energy is adopting the cavalier attitude that the masculine energy was reflecting and now explained and experienced to the feminine, as it relates, instead channeling it into setting healthy boundaries for themselves to overcome any immediate setbacks or hurdles. This is literally feminine trying to take a page out of the masculine energy's book, if in divine union right now, bearing in mind that this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. A feminine effectively saying, I am not going to sweat the small stuff. I'm going to let myself hold healthy boundaries and not break my back to navigate anything that isn't working in a positive direction. I'm going to utilize it instead to just find new avenues or new opportunities of communication instead of dwelling on what isn't working. Masculine, you may be seeing this on the part of the feminine. And again, seeing a feminine energy that has this ability or degree to do so almost further amplifies your own security in the divine union and partnership at this moment. Because again, you are recognizing that this is a feminine that further has your back. It feels like you've got a lot of supportive energy right now in divine union partnership right now. Masculine is actually seeing this to a certain extent of a feminine, again, learning that act of stoicism, learning that act of strength. This is masculine that feels like, in a way, it gives them amplification to take even further risks, because this is a feminine that they know can effectively hold their own to a certain extent. And that, in a sense, is empowering the partnership entirely, because the feminine is reflecting the exact energy that the masculine needs to be able to feel that confidence, to be able to go forward in this same vibration. Masculine and feminine energy that are in divine union and divine partnership, or trying to come into divine union partnership right now, this is going to feel like a little bit more of a challenging space right now, because the masculine is, again, what is the masculine trying to do right now of coming into divine union and partnership? Masculine's trying to take this leap. Masculine's trying to say to feminine, look, I'm ready to take this leap with you. And feminine's going, no. Like, feminine's actually going, like, what are you talking about? Like, this is almost a moment where it's like oppositional, because again, this is a feminine energy that is seeing a masculine that is suddenly just having something that feels very cavalier, very reactive, like very out of the blue. And this is almost a feminine energy of trying to come into divine union that's trying to pump the brakes in a certain extent, but almost trying to say to masculine, like, I just want to make sure that you're not like leaving us off a cliff. Feminine being like, are you sure you want this? Or are you just taking like a leap right now because you're just feeling like a moment of spontaneity? This is almost a feminine saying, like, what's the rush? Why is this happening so quickly? And it's almost feminine saying to the masculine right now, I want this too, but if we really want it, there shouldn't be a rush. If we really want this, if this is a direction that we're actually heading in, then we don't need to be hasty about it. Masculine and feminine trying to come into divine union right now, this could be feeling like a little bit of that fracture point happening, because this is the masculine that feels like the feminine is kind of taking the wind out of their sails to a certain extent. Like, this is masculine trying to say to feminine, being like, I'm finally ready to take the leap. And feminine being like, and masculine almost saying to feminine, like, you wanted to take this leap with me this whole time. What's the problem? Feminine being like, it shouldn't be a leap. It shouldn't be a leap. It should be more like something that is like methodical and that we build towards. It doesn't need to be a leap. The whole point is that it needs to be consistent. That's the only thing the feminine's not seeing right now as it relates to the divine union frequency that's giving feminine pause, is almost trying to amplify the masculine, being like, I want to make sure that you actually want this. And this isn't just a momentary, like, feeling. It's not just something that you're like having a lark for a minute and it's going to be gone just as quickly, because this has arrived so quickly. Masculine and feminine in separation right now. What we're effectively seeing is this is a feminine energy that is taking any of the lessons from the past. And while they're going forward with a heavy heart right now, again, they just cut some cords. Feminine just did a lot of energetic cord cutting. Feminine energy just saw something that gave them confirmation that something is not there in the same way that they would aspire to give. Feminine's not over giving to situations that aren't giving back in kind. This is feminine energy that's going forward with a bit of a heavy heart here. But going forward, she is. Nevertheless, she's persisting here, because what we're effectively seeing is this is the feminine energy that is saying to themselves, under no circumstances are they going to stay in situations and circumstances that are creating that imbalance. Feminine knows what it is that they're seeking right now. And even though they're doing so with a heavy heart, they are going forward to pursue it. And they're utilizing strong boundaries to help protect them as they take that leap of faith. Masculine in separation right now, this is a moment. There's a change happening here for masculine. There's something that masculine now realizes and recognizes. And this is why we see that for masculine right now, if in separation, even now, whether you go forward and backward, it is taking a new direction for you, because there is a deeper understanding that is currently afoot in terms of recognizing and understanding why the feminine energy is so cautious around you, why there's that wall up, why they're being so. And for masculine right now, it's not just the energy from the past. It's feeling like you're seeing this around all of the feminine energy that's around you right now. So again, for the masculine energy experiencing this right now, this is either that moment of deciding whether to go forward, back into the past right now, to have that point of accountability, to have that point of observation, to have that point of clarity, to be able to identify and articulate that you know what you need to change about the self that is going to allow for a new start. Or this is masculine that is thinking about just taking those lessons forward with them, leaving the past in the past, trying to push forward in the sense, even with a heavy heart, but also feeling the weight of the feminine energy and recognizing that basically the work is going to be forward as well as backwards, because this is feminine energy. Even if this is new energy that you're pursuing, you are recognizing and understanding now why the feminine energy has so many of those walls up. You have the optics now. You can see what they see, which is why they are so trepidatious towards you. Continuing to get clarification. Fifth card in our 5-card spread for today. Look who's back. This is why we just encountered some of this. We just encountered some of this energy as it relates to the point of crisis. This card should look familiar. It was the same card that we pulled last week. And there's no reason to be upset about it or concerned, because why are we seeing that the feminine has so much of their guard up? Why is the feminine holding these heavy boundaries? Because the feminine energy is trauma informed. This is a feminine energy that is trauma informed. They are trying to avert disaster. They are trying to push back on situations and circumstances that they don't feel are benefiting them. This is a feminine energy that's almost taking up that point. Feminine doesn't like to be in a defensive space. Feminine likes to be open. It's where they naturally would choose to be. Why would a feminine energy get so assertive? Because the feminine energy is moving from a state or space of protection, right? That's what we're effectively seeing here. And this is a feminine energy. Again, if in divine union and partnership, feminine energy is taking some of that laying of the healthy boundaries, specifically because they are trying to do their best to protect the divine union. That is the feminine energy's sole purpose right now, if in divine union and partnership. And they feel like there's a lot of weight of the feminine trying to do so right now by laying and maintaining those healthy boundaries. Now, masculine that's effectively seeing this right now, they are observing, you're potentially observing a feminine that is very minded right now on preventing anything that they feel could potentially lead to a point of crisis. Masculine, in fact, this is one of the reasons that you potentially appreciate the feminine energy around you right now, because this is almost a feminine energy that anticipates crises before they even occur. This is feminine energy almost coming into that state or space of like disaster preparedness. And that in itself is why we see that the masculine feels so validated to be able to take a lot of these chances right now, to even be a little bit more cavalier, because it's a feeling right now for masculine that you've got like a lot of supportive energy right now in divine union of the feminine that's there to effectively catch you if something were to go wrong. Like, this is an energy that's basically like, go ahead, do what you're going to do. I've got your back either way, right? Masculine, you're feeling that support of having that strong feminine by your side to do those things. It's further encouraging you even through any of those setbacks and hurdles, because this is a masculine that is willing to, like, again, and this is why the feminine appreciates this masculine energy. Feminine is able to be defensive and supportive to a masculine in this modality, because this is also a feminine that looks at the masculine in this modality and realizes that this is a masculine that is not afraid of crisis. That this is a masculine that leaps forward into crisis, leaps towards the feminine when crisis occurs, as opposed to the other direction. And that is why we see that the feminine and masculine right now, if in divine union, effectively have each other's back, because it's almost this point of saying, it doesn't matter what comes, we know we've got each other no matter what. Masculine and feminine right now, they're moving into divine union. This is that moment that we have to be much more careful about. This is going to be more triggering right now, right? And I need to stress, this is why there needs to be a lot of empathy right now if you're moving into divine union, that you don't misunderstand each other on the cusp of a Mercury in retrograde. Because what's happening at this moment? Masculine wants to take a leap of faith into divine union. Feminine also wants to take a leap of faith into divine union right now. The problem is the feminine is also trying to protect their own heart space, because seeing the masculine moving so quickly gets the feminine in a trauma-informed experience. This is a feminine that is worried that masculine may not necessarily have thought things through entirely, because something feels like it is so rushed, and feminine is trying to slow things down to avert crisis or disaster, making sure the masculine's energy of spontaneity here isn't leading them off a cliff without there being that full belief, or masculine really feeling the things that they feel, and they're not just these like momentary sparks of passion that the feminine knows that the masculine is capable of. This could potentially lead, and we have to be cautious here, because this could lead to a little bit of a fracture point here, because if a masculine misinterprets a feminine in this moment, this could be a masculine that gets hurt and goes, oh, you don't want to be in divine union with me. Why are you doing this? Oh, you're causing all these problems. And feminine potentially could be in a space or state of seeing masculine acting so rashly and saying, why are you acting so rashly? Where is this coming from? So this could almost lead to a point of miscommunication to the highest amplitude that could lead to this breaking back off into separation. So I need to stress right now, if you're going through this, make sure you have a lot of empathy. Make sure that you're clarifying. Masculine, you got to explain to feminine what's creating this like sudden change of heart if this is happening. Feminine, you need to explain to masculine that any of your trepidation isn't due to a lack of desire, but more from an internal fear of potentially being and again, this is a problem for the feminine of saying, like, I want to believe you, I want to trust you, but I am afraid. Feminine energy right now that is moving forward right now towards divine, into allowing themselves in separation. This is feminine energy. Again, this is feminine energy, I have to stress, that doesn't like the fact that they have to do this. This is not a feminine energy that feels they're in a space or place where they're like, yay, I'm moving forward at this point. More the fact that the problem with the feminine energy in this modality right now is the fact that we're effectively recognizing and identifying that to a certain degree, this is feminine energy that effectively feels to a certain extent that they have no choice. This is literally the feminine energy in separation saying, I'm not moving forward right now because I'm moving into like seeing the thing that I desire and wanting it. It's feminine almost going, I know the space that I'm leaving is not the space that I want to be in. Why are they doing that? Because they see here that there's a masculine energy that they effectively tried to reach out to. They were in need. They tried to build that connective tissue. This was feminine energy that felt like the masculine at their time of need, like smacked their hand away to a certain extent, energetically or emotionally. Feminine needed that masculine energy and they weren't there. And this is a feminine that effectively came into a space or place where they were feeling, again, like they have to move forward right now on this path for themselves. They need to push through because this is a feminine energy that feels like they are walking away. They're pushing back on a crisis point, and the crisis point is potentially being in a partnership that feels like it is imbalanced. Again, a partnership that has a lot of love there. Feminine having an enormity of love for the energy that they feel that they're in partnership with, but potentially trying to come into partnership with, but ultimately feeling that, again, this isn't a masculine energy that wants potentially an equal give and take, but rather a situation where, again, the feminine needs to be available to the masculine when they need them, but the same is not evident when the feminine needs the masculine. Feminine potentially got evidence of this right now, and this is what is leading the feminine right now forward, but again, with a lot of that caution and protection up around themselves because they're taking that leap of faith forward, but they also feel like they're kind of averting the disaster of trusting their own heart space here. This is the feminine saying, I know that I'm moving away from something, but it feels less like they're moving towards something and more they're moving away from something that is setting them up for disaster. Masculine energy in separation right now. This is a moment that feels like, again, there is this point that could feel like you are very much, and again, I need to say for a lot of the masculine energy in separation right now, making sure that you are grounding right now is key. It's really important because we see here that the masculine, you're carrying a lot of weight of sadness, of frustration. There's a lot of heaviness here. Masculine, we see that if you're in separation right now, there's a lot of possibility in terms of trying to determine which direction to move into right now, which direction that you're moving toward. Where do you want to go? The difficulty or hurdle that we're seeing right now with masculine is, again, there's something here for the masculine energy that is in separation, that is recognizing, it's coming into understanding right now the fact that the feminine energy around you at this time has a lot of walls up. Some of these walls might not necessarily even be your own cause. It's recognizing and understanding, and something over the last few days may have even given you that point of clarity in recognizing and identifying and seeing something from the point of view of the feminine perspective that helped you really see your own self in a different way. And again, for half of the masculine collective right now, this is a moment that feels like a little bit of an internal crisis, but is allowing for a new point of productivity, a new approach to things, a new approach towards feminine, something that is giving or amplifying to you. That new approach is what is empowering you right now as it relates to either building communication from the past or going forward towards new energy in the future with that understanding on why the feminine is holding so much of a barrier, because this is a feminine energy. And again, it's not even stressed towards you. This is a feminine energy that is trying to push back a sense of crisis, but feeling to a certain extent like the masculine energy could be the source of the crisis. And this is the feminine energy holding a lot of barriers here. And masculine, one of the things that we see here is, again, either going back from the past, coming into that point of accountability in saying and recognizing to the mass feminine, having to articulate and amplify, I understand why I was the source of that crisis, or the part in it, or this is masculine energy that is moving forward right now in a point of recognizing, but even seeing that some of that new energy that you're trying to approach has a lot of their guard up, has a lot of that energy of holding back to a certain extent, because this is an energy of feminine that, again, is very worried about allowing energy in because they're trying to protect their heart space. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Sun card in its reversal in combination with our Eight of Wands. May I please have one card to clarify? clarification coming through right now with our devil in its reversal. We love to see this card in this position. Now, masculine and feminine energy that are in divine union and divine partnership. This is why there is a point of catharsis that is occurring at this time. And it is feeling like a lot of healing, because we are effectively identifying and recognizing at this time that for the masculine and feminine energy, it's not the fact that there aren't these circumstances and situations from the past that are rising back up to the surface right now. It is more that moment that we are effectively identifying wherein the feminine and the masculine energy are utilizing this as a point of mutual healing, bearing in mind that this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. For masculine and feminine energy right now that are in divine union and partnership, it is this opportunity to heal that is effectively allowing for more communication, more positivity, more adaptability. We even saw that over the last few days, there may have been something that rose up where in the feminine opened up, feminine and masculine opened up about their deeper fears, their deeper traumas, their deeper experiences. Masculine may even be in a modality right now. Both energies are seeing the fact that each is carrying an internal pain that they can't necessarily fix. But they're going to do everything that they can right now to do everything they can to effectively show the energy that is no longer the case. I even articulated this yesterday as masculine effectively saying to feminine in some capacity, again, much like feminine said over the last few weeks, I cannot heal something unless you show me where it hurts. You have to show me the wound so I can fix it. Masculine was effectively saying to the feminine, I want you to be vulnerable to me in that way so I can show you that that's not going to happen again. That's a masculine almost saying to the feminine, I want to show to you in some way, shape, or form that what occurred to you in the past will never happen again in the present, because this is a divine union and partnership wherein we are going to use any of those expressions of doubt. That's where we're going to put our energy to heal it. Masculine and feminine energy are almost effectively doing that work with each other right now, building up into the space of place of understanding those weaknesses. Again, finding those points, those Achilles heels in one another, but again, not commodifying it, not utilizing them for your own purposes, but almost allowing them to be this moment to show you that there is an alternative path forward that allows for healing in the spaces that you are most afraid. That is what we see as the beauty right now of the divine union that's allowing for that more collective healing to occur. It's helping to literally heal up the wound, but also allowing it to have that point of expression. Masculine and feminine that are moving towards divine union right now. This is why I need everybody moving into divine union right now to be communicating. You guys got to talk. You guys got to talk. Please, 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 please. If you're moving into divine union right now and you're having these feelings, make sure you're expressing them. Make sure you're talking about them. Don't be holding this in, because this is the moment that we are potentially seeing right now, that we could see that moment of misunderstanding could make or break a situation right now. It could literally make or break it depending on how you are communicating and how you are perceiving the situations and circumstances at play. Because again, feminine is looking at masculine right now. Masculine is trying to take a leap. Masculine is trying to bring feminine with them, being like, woo, let's do this. I'm ready. Feminine's going, slow it down. Slow it down, because feminine's trying to say, masculine, if this is real, there's no rush. If this is real, you need to slow it down, because if this is real, then it doesn't need to be on such an immediate, gonzo moment of just making it be something that is very fast. This is feminine almost saying, show me that this is real by showing me that you can keep this level. You can maintain this energy in a more consistent fashion. That's feminine almost seeing the masculine's own tendency of spontaneity and saying, it's good, but show me that this isn't just a momentary desire. Show me that this is real. Masculine, you may need to have to do this right now. You may need to have to amplify or explain, because this could even be a feminine saying, what is the rush? Where did this come from? This could be a masculine. You may feel a need to have to articulate to feminine right now what is effectively occurring within you that is causing you to feel this thing. The problem is, for masculine, this is very hard to do, this articulation, because it's really coming from a point of fear. This is almost a masculine that doesn't want to talk about how they're feeling, because as a masculine, it's almost saying, I'm scared that if we don't move quickly, I'll lose this. And again, Masculine feeling that excitement, being able to modify that excitement right now is almost like showing the feminine. It's proving to the feminine that this is something of, again, a divine union isn't something that like comes and goes in a day. It's something that like holds through. You can maintain that vibration. So for a masculine to be able to slow it down a little bit for the feminine and lay that out is almost the feminine immediately getting confirmation that this is something that is actually real. Now, we don't want to have happen is the masculine seeing the feminine pushing those brakes and feeling like this is a feminine that's saying no, because this is not a feminine that's saying no. We're seeing in a way this is a feminine that's saying slow down. Let's think about this. Let's do this in like a careful fashion, because this is a feminine that's working very hard in not repeating the mistakes of the past and not wanting to be hurt. So for masculine and feminine right now, again, the opportunity to continue a divine union requires an understanding of each other's anxieties and fears, communication for an ability to heal. Masculine, because there could be something with the feminine seeing the spontaneity of the masculine right now that creates a sense of trepidation. Feminine energy in separation. This is exactly why we see the feminine energy is turning away from anything that feels like it is an imbalanced karmic connection. Something that feminine feels that they feel a desire for, but that it is not healthy for them. That's why we see that this is a feminine that even though it is sad to them, they are persevering and pushing forward, because feminine is looking right now at anything that doesn't feel reciprocal as something that they need to heal. And that is something that is sad for the feminine, but she is observing that and recognizing that in separation right now and utilizing that as a point of productivity, almost affirming to themselves that they don't want to be in situations and circumstances that feel imbalanced, but rather this is something that they need to heal from as they go forward from this point. Masculine energy, if in separation right now, what we are effectively seeing is this is a moment that we are identifying and recognizing that for the masculine energy in separation right now, there is this point of healing that is happening. But it is also a moment right now that is built and bent with a lot of sadness connected around it. Something that occurred over the last few days gave you some point of insight. It gave you some point of clarity. It gave you some point of optics in recognizing your own unhealthy tendencies, your own coping mechanisms, your own bad modalities of thought that may have prevented the productivity that you may have expected or desired in the going forward. It's this moment that, again, there's a lot of sadness here, but there's also a huge opportunity to heal, because observing these negatives gives you an ability to adjust, accommodate, and change course. The direction, the problem right now for the masculine in separation is, what is that direction that you're going in? Is this a moment of going back to the past to be able to heal these wounds, to be able to come in and kind of articulate upon this healing that's occurring? Or are you taking this forward right now into new spaces and places to be able to amplify your own journey in terms of being able to heal from these things? But again, holding a lot of sadness right now as you try to figure out which direction to move into. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Eight of Wands in combination with our Fool card. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Seven of Wands. Now, masculine and feminine energy, even if in divine union right now, it's a little bit, listen, we're on the cusp of this retrograde. It's a little bit of the struggle energy right now. Again, it's this moment. A lot of communication today, a lot of pushing forward on things. Again, both in the partnership itself, but also working through any situations or circumstances that feel like they're challenging points. The divine union energy right now is potentially doing a lot of work right now to navigate any of the hurdles that you're currently experiencing. And this is that point of, again, mutually choosing your battles, picking what you feel like you're going to put that energy on. But it is that feeling right now that both energies are feeling in divine union. The combined energy in the divine union effectively is articulating and helping there be a point of recognizing and feeling like you've got the support around you that is allowing you to continue forward in this way. The energy has your back. It's allowing you that space or place to take that point of taking those leaps, doing those things. It's giving you that sense that you've got each other's backs to a certain extent, and that is exactly what is allowing you to continue forward and taking these leaps of faith. Masculine and feminine energy that are moving into divine union and partnership, this is exactly, we're hitting one of those make or break points again. Because this is either a moment that, again, that point of opposition is either being articulated and amplified in recognizing that the opposition, the solution to some of that oppositional energy is communication. It's clarification, that any of the opposition is not actual opposition. It's something that needs to be clarified. Masculine, you need to clarify where this like sea change came about and why it's so sudden and why it can't be slowed down. Feminine needs to amplify and articulate to masculine where their fears are. Why feminine is holding a little bit of trepidation on these things, because this is a feminine that's worried that the masculine might not be, their words, it's almost like the opposite. The masculine's words don't match the actions so much, to such an extent now that the feminine's feeling the opposite reversal of a masculine that was saying one thing the other day, and now their actions are directing in the other. So for both energies right now, that communication is key, because that could be the moment of this continuing to move into the divine union frequency, articulating, amplifying, seeing each other's perspective, allowing that to be a point of productivity and planning. Or it could put the whole divine union energy paused in its tracks. It could come back into moving back into separation, because again, it's almost getting frustrated at the other one not coming into alignment, as opposed to using that point of pressure to come into better alignment. Continuing to get clarification for masculine and feminine right now that is in separation. We see that this is why the feminine is now just going forward. This is no longer a feminine that's resting on their laurels, waiting for the new masculine energy to find them. This is a feminine energy that's taking this as like a kickstart. Feminine's using this and going almost in a way, whatever happened over the last few days was a feminine energy almost going like, absolutely not. Absolutely not. This is feminine energy that's just utilizing that right now and saying feminine energy is doing so because this is a feminine energy that is holding their boundaries. That is why we see that this is not a feminine that is running back to these circumstances or situations, because feminine feels to a certain extent that their boundary or their limit has been tested. It's been pushed on. And this is a feminine that says that the feminine is going to hold their own boundaries here. This is not up for debate. This is a feminine that is looking for reciprocity, not to feel like they need to beg or push to have that energy come back to them. This is a feminine that's almost saying to themselves, if I have a need and I'm in divine union, the energy should rush in to assist. They shouldn't create a conflict point. And that is why we see that the feminine energy is just utilizing this to go forward at this point. Just boop, continuing onward on their journey. This feminine going, absolutely not. Masculine energy, if in separation right now, this is a moment that you're just trying to decide which direction you're going in. This is just a moment that you're literally looking, trying to decide which direction to go in. Forwards or backwards. Forwards or backwards. Because again, for masculine right now, there's looking at two different pathways. One, wherein you recognize there's going to be a little bit of fight. There's going to be some struggle. Because again, this is a moment that you see the fact that this is an energy that's very resistant. This is very resistant. It's going to require it, but you also understand why. You see here, you recognize, you understand why this energy may have their guard up to you, why they're in that modality. It's almost something potentially that creates a lot of pain for you, because that point of observation is one that you see, you observe, you feel. You even had energy around you try to give you that point of clarity. Or you're utilizing this right now as a moment or opportunity of finding those new directions, finding those new possibilities, finding those new opportunities, utilizing this as a moment of just pushing forward. But again, feeling a lot of burden and heaviness as you do so. Masculine in this modality right now is really a question of feeling some of that uncertainty as it relates to which direction to move towards. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Fool card in combination with our Queen of Swords. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through with, we love this. Look at this. The gang's all here. We've got here our King of Cups. So this is, look at this. Look at this energy. This is beautiful. Look at this. All right. So masculine and feminine energy. If moving in divine union and partnership, what we're effectively seeing right now is this point that, again, masculine and feminine are moving into this lovely vibration. If in divine, this is exactly what we want to see. I'm very happy about this. This is exactly what we want to see if in divine union and partnership right now, because these are the energies that are creating that back and forth. Remember the lesson that I mentioned that was happening right now in divine union? This is effectively what that is. Because for the energy that's in divine union right now, what are we having that's happening right now? We are seeing masculine energy, feminine energy is learning the lesson of stoicism from the masculine energy in the divine union. Bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. Feminine is building this modality of being able to lay healthy boundaries that they're learning on the part of the masculine. What is the masculine learning on the part of the feminine, class? The feminine is teaching the masculine how to balance their emotional center, how to come into balance with their own emotional feminine energy, finding that point of feminine balance within the self. That is what we see is allowing that ability to be able to move forward right now into new opportunities, new possibilities, new experiences, okay? We're effectively seeing that that is allowing for that point of an alignment that's happening that is allowing for new possibilities, overcoming any of those obstacles. The divine union energy, it's not that this is easy. Masculine doesn't like to open up in this way. Masculine feels very vulnerable when they come into these emotional balance points, but feminine is creating a supportive environment for them where they feel like they can come into emotional balance. Feminine doesn't like to put up this boundary, but feminine's doing it to support and protect the partnership from any energy that they feel may cause a point of crisis around the divine union itself. Masculine and feminine energy trying to come into divine union. This is effectively what we are seeing right now that is creating this moment that needs to be amplified, because again, it's not that this is happening, but dear Lord, please make sure that you're recognizing that this is what you're doing towards one another right now instead of utilizing this as a moment of moving away. Because again, it's not the fact that you both don't desire to take this new leap into divine union and divine partnership. But we see here the feminine is doing it with a lot of trepidation, with a lot of caution. Feminine saying, slow down before we take this leap. Masculine saying, I'm feeling very balanced right now. I'm ready to take this leap. And so making sure that you recognize that the reason that this expression is the same thing, just being interpreted in different ways, is exactly going to build that bridge that's allowing you to move into the divine union frequency, as opposed to feeling like you're going to zip right back into separation between masculine potentially misarticulating this and being like, what's wrong? I thought you wanted this. Why are you being so oppositional? Why don't you want this? And the feminine being like, I can't trust if this is something that you actually want, or if this is you kind of being spontaneous and potentially changing your mind. Masculine and feminine, and it's all going to be through communication. Masculine and feminine in separation right now. This is why feminine is leaving themselves open right now to new expressions of masculine energy, because again, feminine energy is taking that leap of faith because they're looking for the masculine energy that is ready to build an emotional connection with the feminine, that is willing to come into that state or space of emotional balance. This is basically a feminine that is leaving that possibility or that door open effectively to say, I am ready for new energy to come towards me, so long as they show an ability of having that emotional balance, being able to communicate from that emotional center. And the feminine is being very conscientious of that to a certain extent, specifically because the feminine's doing so in a space or place where it's not like feeling like they're not thrilled to be in this modality. This isn't something that like creates excitement with the feminine, but it's more the feminine really wanting to find an alignment with masculine, that again, it almost feels like the feminine's trying to avert disaster and making sure they're not letting an energy in that again is going to effectively claim their heart space and then demand everything but not give back. This is the feminine using a lot of discernment as they take that leap of faith forward. Masculine energy in separation right now. This is a moment where, again, it feels to a certain degree like you're going through a point that is really helping determine where you want to move your energy right now. Because, again, there is a feeling right now of masculine as it relates to kind of like your own experience. And this is a moment for the masculine, again, asking yourself, is this a moment that you're utilizing to continue forward in terms of the unknown, in terms of what you see is beyond the horizon, that sense of uncertainty? Or is this a moment that you're coming into alignment with your own self? Are you coming into balance with your own self? Are you balancing your own emotional energy within the self? And this is, again, almost that moment, again, related to going towards energy from the past, being able to come into alignment to express to that energy that you've reached that point of emotional balance within the self. Or if you're going to kind of continue forward in this way, that again, not being as open to experiencing these lessons that have been coming towards you right now, and just pushing forwards into that space or place of the unknown, but also feeling like there's been some sort of shift in all of the feminine energy around you right now that isn't feeling as receptive to finding you in that modality. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Queen of Swords in combination with our Tower. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with Chariot in its reversal. Masculine and feminine energy right now that are in divine union and divine partnership. For these energies, we see here that this is all about, again, navigating what's not working to be able to figure out what is working. For masculine and feminine energy right now that are in divine union and divine partnership, this is that point of observation. But this is what is so nice about this, because again, recognizing these points that aren't working, it doesn't show a lot of expression in terms of feeling like you need to rush to go to them to repair them. It's almost just coming into a space or place of just kind of wanting to leave them behind, letting them be those spaces and places that you just don't necessarily move towards with that much energy. It's almost like just kind of leaving them in the periphery to a certain extent, because we see here that masculine and feminine energy right now are not letting themselves get caught up right now in terms of what isn't working. This is almost creating, again, feminine's almost operating very much on that binary right now and being like something's working or it's not. It's either here or it's there. It's coming through productive or it's not coming through productive. And we see and recognize right now in that modality that feminine is just kind of taking that approach right now. Feminine is either working to fix the things that are not working or just avoid them entirely. So for feminine right now, this is going to feel a lot more like the feminine's going to be a lot more discerning right now in divine union and partnership, because we see that feminine is taking a little bit more of that brass tacks approach as it relates to situations and circumstances. Masculine is being more cavalier. Masculine is looking at it more as like a point of excitement and opportunity, just letting it be a bit of a leaping off point. And I think that one of the only difficulties that we potentially see right now that could result in a point of conflict right now between the masculine and the feminine's perception right now in divine union as it relates to problems is the fact that the feminine may feel more eager to just try to fix something, where the masculine may just kind of want to leave anything that's not working behind. Masculine potentially is almost looking at the feminine right now, if in divine union, and saying like, why are you wasting your time in these spaces if they're giving evidence that they're not working? Maybe we should just try something else, right? Masculine's ready to just like embark on a new journey. And feminine is almost, again, like we saw with the energy trying to come into divine union, being like, I'm not ready to let something go just yet. I feel like I might be able to fix something here. Masculine and feminine energy that are trying. And again, masculine might even be saying to feminine right now in divine union. Masculine, if any, might say to feminine, you have a little bit of a problem with like allowing these like points of trying to fix things that like are giving a lot of evidence that they're not getting fixed. Masculine and feminine that are moving into divine union right now, which is kind of like a bit of a role reversal, to be honest, which I think is funny. Masculine and feminine that are moving towards divine union, right? They're trying to come into divine union and partnership. This is that moment that I cannot stress to you, please guys, make sure you're communicating to each other right now. Because this is a moment that, again, feminine is trying to averse disaster. Feminine is literally trying to slow the brakes because feminine feels like they're trying to avert disaster. They're trying to avert catastrophe. Feminine is worried that they're seeing such an extreme change in the masculine that it's got them a little anxious. The problem here is if this is misinterpreted, masculine may take this as the feminine saying that they don't desire to move in that direction. That's why we see right now that this is literally a feminine saying, it's not that I don't desire that. Feminine is trying to avert crisis. The problem here is masculine might not necessarily see it that way, and that could potentially lead these energies to move back into separation. So please, 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 make sure you're communicating at this time. Feminine, make sure you're articulating what your trepidation is and that it is not, in fact, you saying that you don't want to move in that direction. It's just that you're being careful. Masculine, make sure that you're keeping empathy for the fact that this is a feminine that's trying to protect their heart space. They're trying to avoid being hurt. It's not that they don't desire that. It's that they've been hurt in this way in the past, and they're trying to be very eager not to repeat mistakes of the past. Continuing to get clarification for the energy right now that is in separation. This is feminine, again, holding a lot of boundaries. Feminine energy is not, again, feminine energy is moving forward right now. They're allowing new opportunities to approach them, but with like the highest degree of discernment. The highest. This is like literally like feminine, like the pinkest of flags, the like mauve, like anything slightly pink, anything slightly red is like feminine literally being like, no, like I cannot stress to you, this is a feminine that is literally like needle in the haystacking it. This is a feminine that is so conscientious right now, because this is a feminine that knows exactly what they're looking for. I have to stress, the only problem right now, the feminine in separation is feminine's like, I know exactly what I am looking for. And if anything around this, like anything, if anything, even I have to stress, this is such a fine line that the masculine needs to walk right now for the feminine that's in separation. This is such a fine line. This is a feminine that is watching that line so carefully right now with any masculine energy that they're allowing near them, that if this energy like anything, like trips, stumbles, moves in any way that feels even close to anything like this right now, feminine is like literally like, no, go away, back off, get away. Like this is, I cannot stress to you the level or degree of the boundary right now that the feminine energy in separation has. This is literally a feminine energy. It's like hair trigger. And I'm sorry, I'm literally apologizing to the masculines in separation right now, because this is rough. This is rough. Literally, like I can't even stress this right now. Masculine energy in separation. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, because what we're seeing here is you're experiencing this. This is masculine in separation. It's hard in those streets. It's hard in those streets right now, because this is literally for masculine in separation. This could be feeling like, again, this is masculine feels like, again, all sides. This is masculine just feeling like, again, it's almost like, and I have to stress, this isn't even masculine right now that's seeing it in partnership. This is feeling like all the feminine energy right now is like hair triggered. Like it may even be feeling right now with the masculine, like again, a lot of the masculine in separation right now could be going through this moment of being like, I don't understand what's happening to all the women around me right now, because this is a moment that we see that a masculine is encountering a lot of the feminine energy that's got a lot of the wall up, just like and this is a masculine that this is why we see that this is a masculine either going back to repair the past right now, or a masculine that's trying to like take these lessons into the future right now, because you're almost, again, this is a masculine that's been getting some understanding from the energy around them as to why this is. You understand it. You get it. The energy around you, it's like the feminine energy is just collectively like traumatized right now. They're going in this point where it's like, again, this is something of the feminine trying to protect their own center to a certain extent, but in a way that makes it very difficult to be able to approach them, because again, you may have all the understanding on the world as to why the feminine energy is like this right now, but you're also feeling the frustration in that it doesn't give you a lot of bandwidth to be able to like have an access point. So this could be something that the masculine energy is feeling right now that is causing a little bit of a catastrophe point for the masculine, because it's almost like the masculine feeling to a certain extent right now that like you lost before you even start, because there's something about the feminine already like anticipating that you're coming towards them in this vibration that may make it so difficult. but again, potentially recognizing and understanding why. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Devil card and its reversal in combination with our Seven of Wands. May I please have one card to clarify? We've got here a King of Wands. Communication. How do you do it? What do you do? What do you do? What do you do? What do you do? Masculine energy and separation. What do you do when there's a feminine? What do you do when there's a feminine that's got their walls up? What do you do when there's a feminine that's got their walls up, that's really worried about crisis, and they're really worried that you're bringing in problems instead of solutions? Communication. Communication. Communication, 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 communication. Planning. Masculine and feminine energy that are in divine union and partnership. We see here what is happening right now that is allowing for a lot of this healing, this deeper internal healing to occur. Communication. This is masculine energy. Again, the reason the feminine energy at this moment feels like there's this point of healing that they're having. The reason that they're feeling like they're healing, and they're also, again, what's happening to the feminine energy that is healing? They're laying them strong boundaries up. They're holding their boundaries up. This is a feminine that's getting stronger as they heal. Why? Because there's a masculine that they know finds them as an equal, finds them as a counterpart. This is a masculine that is supporting the feminine energy, learning how to build these boundaries, because the masculine realizes that this is a feminine energy that is on their side. This is not an oppositional energy. This is a masculine feeling like this is feminine energy that is, they're on the same side. And masculine is feeling that point of empowerment because this is a feminine that, again, the more they heal, the stronger they get. This is masculine almost encouraging the feminine on their own healing journey, because they see the fact that the more the feminine is empowered on their own healing journey, the more of a strong position the masculine is in, because the masculine feels more and more supported by the feminine. The feminine is a mirror. The feminine will give you what you give them. And this is masculine giving the feminine that support, giving them that encouragement, helping them heal, and seeing that amplifying. It's creating a source of abundance for the masculine, because they're recognizing that the feminine is creating more of what they are giving them. Put the positive and put the good things in, and you'll get the good things out, right? Like, literally. Now, masculine. The feminine that's in this point is, again, also feeling this energy with the masculine. This is a feminine energy that we're effectively seeing that, again, if in divine union, bearing in mind that this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. This is feminine energy that wants to stay near the masculine energy that's creating a space and place. And how is the masculine energy, if in divine union, creating a space that is supportive for the feminine? The feminine masculine, this isn't a moment of having to hold the reins. This is literally a masculine energy that realizes that all they need to do to be able to have that supportive energy of feminine around them is, again, showing the feminine energy that they will protect them, that they will defend them, that they will hold them, they will have their back, and giving them the space to heal. Giving them the space to heal. Showing them in a certain way, saying, show me where you are vulnerable. And look, this is masculine right now saying to feminine, if in divine union, show me where you are vulnerable so I can protect that part of you at all costs. Show me where you are vulnerable so I can protect that part of you at all costs. That is how the masculine is keeping the feminine towards them. And the masculine doesn't need to do anything beyond that to a certain extent. This is a masculine that has mastered that ability of recognizing the power of communication, having that be a point of strength. And that point is what is allowing for the divine union energy to continue to move forward in this way. Because this is a masculine that the feminine feels, again, empowered around and is willing to protect at all costs and protect the partnership, because this is a masculine that they realize ultimately finds the feminine's own weaknesses and vulnerabilities and does not utilize them for their best interest, but instead protects them at all cost. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now. Between, again, for the energy trying to come into divine union, this is exactly what we are about to see, is whether this can happen right now. Because again, there's a moment where there is mutual healing happening. feminine and masculine, if coming into divine union right now. Both energies, there's something here that's healing. The problem around it is making sure that it is not misunderstood. What is happening right now that could potentially be misunderstood? Feminine is seeing a change in the masculine. Feminine is feeling resistant to it, and feminine saying the masculine, what are you doing? What is this? I don't understand. Can I trust this? Is this actually healing? Or is there something else happening? This is the feminine looking at the masculine and trying to say, like, is this, like, almost like the feminine, again, looking at the masculine, if trying to move into divine union right now and saying, like, is this real? Is this something that I can trust? Can I trust you? Is this actually genuinely you healing? Or is there something else happening? Is this something about you moving unilaterally? Again, this is a feminine that's had experiences where they have been hurt in this capacity and in this degree. And this is why we see that the feminine needs the masculine to reassure the feminine in this modality right now, if this is true healing that is occurring, by articulating and explaining why, where, what the heck has caused this change, right? That's how the feminine's literally like, can you please explain, like, what has brought this about? Because the feminine's feeling that anxiety point. Masculine, this may be hard because it's requiring you to potentially communicate on your own healing journey. Coming into emotional balance by being vulnerable about your emotions. And that is a moment that feels very difficult for the masculine because, as I said, the hard part about this is the masculine that's actually feeling this has a hard time articulating what they're feeling. So even now, there could be a point of resistance in masculine actually articulating or admitting to feminine the healing journey that they're on. Feminine energy that is in separation right now, this is effectively the masculine energy that we are seeing here. Again, this is feminine energy that is not pushing back on any energy that isn't in communication, that isn't in a point of working. Because this is a feminine energy that is effectively looking at circumstances and situations and saying it doesn't have to be that hard. That anything that is for the feminine is not going to be difficult. It's not going to require pushing back. It's not going to require fighting back to have the bare minimum. This is feminine that's basically saying any energy that wants to be with the feminine will move towards the feminine. It will not require the feminine to leap over gauntlets to try to communicate with it, because all that indicates is a masculine that doesn't necessarily want a mutual give and take, but wants to effectively just be in control of the communication, wants to be in control of everything. It is not coming from a point of, again, equality, balance. It's coming from an energy of a masculine that even if there is no communication, even that lack of communication is almost strategic. And this is the feminine looking at it in that fashion and basically saying, and this is almost the feminine saying they don't need to make that choice. Because why would feminine make that choice when there's other masculine energy that would be very, 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 very willing to communicate with the feminine if in separation right now? Because as I indicated, this is feminine energy in separation right now that there's a lot of masculine energy around them. If you're in feminine separation right now, again, there's something that's happened right now that it shows that it's not that this is like the sole situation. There's other energy that and we're even seeing here, this is feminine this already has active communication with other masculine energy that may be reinforcing this same communication point, the same point of information. This is almost feminine immediately getting confirmation on this, potentially even from other healed masculine energy. Masculine energy in separation right now. This is a little bit of a problem point because, again, we are potentially seeing right now, masculine, you are moving into a space or place of trying to heal right now. If you're moving in this space right now, this could be a point of recognition and understanding why some energy may have in the past, may have a point of resistance towards you. And even recognizing why some of the energy around you right now, getting some point of understanding on why the energy around you is also got that degree of wall up. And again, the masculine energy in separation right now is trying to decide how to move forward, what to say, how to communicate. And there's a moment right now that isn't necessary. Clarification on these cards right now between our Seven of Wands in combination with our King of Cups. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Ace of Pentacles in its reversal. Now, masculine and feminine energy that are moving in divine, that are in divine union frequency right now, what we effectively see is, again, masculine and feminine in this modality right now. We are effectively identifying that in this space or place, this is feminine, again, feeling the support and the strength of masculine energy that has found this point of emotional balance within the self. Masculine, this is a masculine energy that is very much balanced with their own feminine energy. And that is something, and I have to stress here, this is why we see that the masculine and feminine energy in divine union right now, this is feminine now effectively. What's happening with the feminine seeing the masculine coming into emotional balance? Is the feminine deserting the masculine? No. What's the feminine doing? Protecting the masculine at all costs. Protecting the partnership at all costs. This is feminine literally taking the role that of again, working to protect the divine union, throwing all of their effort and energy in to an energy that is basically giving that back to them. This is feminine taking what the masculine is giving them and just making it more, making it abundant, turning it, like amplifying whatever the masculine is creating and making that point of abundance. And this is feminine almost doubling down in that way towards the masculine in this vibration, because this is a feminine that, again, holds that point of, like, holds that at all costs. This is a feminine that's like almost like saying to the masculine, like, this is a feminine saying, like, you know, feminine almost amplifying. Again, what does feminine often do? Feminine almost overgives to situations and circumstances. This is a feminine energy almost saying, like, I am gladly willing to overgive to these circumstances and situations, because this masculine energy is basically providing and creating the state or space that the feminine is aspiring to have with masculine energy. This is feminine feeling that point. And again, anything that the feminine's feeling right now is almost just the fact that the feminine is like working doubly hard right now, potentially because they're not just doing it for themselves right now. This is feminine energy doing what feminine energy does best, which is like overgiving and fighting for things because of the energy that they care about, right? Masculine energy masculine energy that is in divine union right now. This is a moment that, again, you yourself have found that point of contentment. There's this point of finding the emotional balance within yourself that is amplified as contentment right now. The balancing of the feminine energy within the self. And again, what we're effectively identifying in this moment is that this is you effectively mirroring the same energy of the feminine, which is, again, wanting to protect the divine union at all costs and willing to double down, to like put down everything you have into it because of the sense of contentment that you found within. Masculine and feminine that are moving into divine union and divine partnership right now, effectively what we are seeing is, again, for the energy trying to move into divine union right now, we are identifying and experiencing a moment wherein we see this is potentially a point that could become a bit of a challenge zone, which I need to make sure everyone is communicating in a positive fashion right now. Because what we're effectively seeing is, again, this is masculine energy that is showing every indication of coming into balance. Like it did feel like it was almost like an overnight shift here. Masculine finding that balance of feminine within the self right now. But again, masculine feeling a point of frustration. Why? Because masculine wants to immediately double down in that space, and they're experiencing a resistance point in the feminine. They're feeling a resistance point in the feminine because the feminine also wants that, but is trying to make sure that this is a masculine that's actually in emotional balance. Like this isn't just going to go away, that this isn't something that is momentary. Feminine and masculine that are in separation right now, this is feminine energy. That is effectively, again, it's not that the feminine energy is feeling positive, moving forward right now in this way. This is not a feminine that wants to walk away from situations and circumstances. Feminine energy is doing so because they feel like they're effectively averting crisis from moving out of a situation that is requiring them, where they may feel a lot of love right now, but they realize is not creating a balance and space of reciprocity. This is feminine holding that point of resistance and doubling down on working on the manifestation of finding a masculine energy that understands the importance and value of being at a point of emotional balance, of being able to be in balance with their own emotional self, that is able to be an emotional support system to the feminine as much as it is a passion-centered relationship or something of that nature. This is feminine energy releasing anything that isn't reciprocal, moving towards a manifestation of a masculine that is ready to do that work, that is ready to come into divine union, that has found that point of emotional balance within the self that feminine is articulating as a point of recognizing will be something that can create a divine union. And this is feminine almost remembering to themselves right now that this is not something that the feminine can create in the masculine. The masculine has to have done this work, or they haven't. It's there or it's not. This isn't something that the feminine can cultivate or change right now. This is feminine that says you're either there or it's not. You're either a rock or you're a rose. You're either one or you're the other. This is not a question about growing something into something else. This is feminine just looking again at that binary and saying you've either arrived, you've done that internal work, or you haven't. And this is the feminine almost, again, putting all of their energy and effort right now into determining if the energy around them is either in that space or it isn't. And they're doing that by seeing the committed effort of the masculine energy towards them in that capacity. Because again, the consistency is the clarity. The consistency is the clarity. Masculine, and that is in separation right now. Effectively what we are seeing is, again, a moment with masculine. Masculine, you are going through this moment right now, where again, you're seeing a lot of this energy that's already come into balance around you at this point. Masculine energy, if you're seeing, this is almost masculine energy right now, if in separation. This is something that you're either coming into right now. You're feeling the shift within yourself, or you're pushing up against it. There's almost this moment that, again, you're looking potentially even at masculine energy that's reached this point of emotional balance. And this is either something that you desire, that you want for yourself. You want that. You're like, I am in, I am invested. I would like to sign up for that. That seems great. I would like some of that. Or you're feeling the absolute opposite reaction. You're pushing back on it, being like, absolutely not. That's not for me. I don't want to be that balanced. I don't want that kind of emotional balance in myself. That seems awful. So again, it's that resistance point, and it's almost going to feel like, again, for a lot of the masculine energy in separation, it's almost like, are you ready to like mature? Like, is this like, it's going to feel a little bit like, it's like a little bit like Peter Pan being like, no, I don't want that. I don't want it. No, like, no, absolutely not. Or masculine being like, that seems kind of nice. That seems like that would be a nice change. That seems like something I could get behind. So continuing forward on this between our King of Cups in its upright in combination with our Chariot in its reversal. Whoop, as every card falls. Hold on a minute. Hold on. All right. We do have a card out. Clarification coming through with our Emperor in its reversal. Why is this happening? Oh my goodness gracious. Jeez Louise. Really? Okay, fine. Okay. Masculine energy and separation. What's this? Okay, let's explain this. All right, so masculine energy and separation right now. This is the thing, okay? Masculine energy and separation, this is feeling like a little bit of an internal struggle right now because, again, you are recognizing, why is the masculine energy and separation right now going through this moment right now? Because it is this moment. Masculine, this may be feeling like a little bit of an internal journey right now if you're experiencing this. Because something that you're potentially wrestling with right now, if you are masculine in separation, is feeling like when you come into balance with your own emotional center, it feels a little bit like you feel like you're relinquishing control, right? What did we say? What did we say that we saw was coming through right now in the last few days, even with the energy of masculine articulating to the feminine where there was a safe space in divine union? Why did masculine energy tell the feminine that they didn't want to think about their emotional problems. They didn't want to think about those emotional trauma points, because we saw that the masculine energy in that modality basically said to feminine, I feel like when I have that emotion wash over me, I don't know how to stop it. It feels like it overwhelms me. I feel like I have no control over it. It feels like something that has power over me that I can't navigate. For masculine energy in this modality right now, there's something about coming into emotional balance right now, that point of balancing your emotional center, that feels like it is frightening. It feels like it is disempowering. It feels like it is scary, because there's a part of you that feels that anxiety about being able to balance that emotional part of you, that feminine energy within you that feels at times, because again, your emotions are like a river. It's like water. It's not something you can control. It's something that you have to kind of experience and let yourself feel. So for the masculine energy that is navigating this right now, it is almost that moment that we're effectively seeing that feels so overwhelming to a certain extent, because you realize that it isn't necessarily something that you have to can control effectively. It's something that you just have to embody and allow yourself to experience and navigate. And going through that moment right now is feeling like a little bit of a decision point, because it is the moment of coming into emotional balance within the self that can feel so overwhelming, and almost potentially feels that anxiety about allowing your emotions to guide you, that feels to a certain extent like you feel like you're losing a little bit of control. Feminine's learning how to find stoicism. Masculine's learning how to become aligned with their emotions. Masculine going through this modality right now, this is a bit of that moment that feels like, again, it almost feels like a bit overpowering potentially. There could be a moment right now with masculine about really kind of like having that sense of like that emotional free fall, if you will, as you try to come into balance with your own emotional center. So I'm going to say it again, for the masculine energy in separation right now, I really want you to take a lot of time of putting a lot of care and attention in the self at this moment to be able to like really navigate some of this emotionality that's coming to the surface right now to help you find that better sense of balance. There may even be, for a lot of the masculine energy in this modality right now, turning towards other masculines that you feel have navigated this or have mastered this to a certain extent to help you through this moment. We even see here that there's a moment right now of masculine potentially feeling this weight of feeling some kind of like potentially even some old father wounds potentially arising right now in some of the masculine energy, in feeling the frustration of not necessarily having the template to help you with this as you go forward from this point. Feminine energy in separation right now, this is that feminine commitment to not necessarily wanting anything that feels like it isn't in a point of equality or alignment. Feminine is looking for energy that wants to be in balance with them, is going to be able to navigate this on equal footing, that equal reciprocal give and take. And this is why we see the feminine is moving forward in this capacity, because feminine is almost leaving again. It's not the fact that feminine isn't leaving themselves available to masculine energy, but only under these circumstances and conditions. Feminine doesn't want something that feels like it is misaligned, or an energy that wants to have some kind of control over things that doesn't feel like it is in proportion. Feminine doesn't see any path forward like that. Feminine wants a masculine that is willing to meet them in that point of reciprocity emotionally, that is going to allow for a point of productivity. And while that is difficult for the feminine, feminine is almost identifying that as that pathway as they go forward from this point. Masculine energy and feminine that are trying to come into divine union right now, this is why this is such a trigger point right now, because we are seeing a feminine that is effectively seeing a change in masculine and trying to make sure that that change is actually what they're seeing. They're trying to identify if this is a masculine that's actually come into balance right now, because something about this feels like such an abrupt shift that the feminine is feeling a point of confusion as it relates to whether this is going to be something that feels like a consistent change in masculine, or if this is a momentary feeling that the masculine is happening that may evaporate just as quickly. This is why we see that the feminine needs the masculine energy to open up with them emotionally, tell them how they masculine in this modality. This is really hard because, again, you're doing a lot of things right now. You don't want to explain why. And even that you're even realizing and recognizing isn't necessarily feeling like it is equal, because it's kind of like you doing and telling Instead of discussing, instead of agreeing, make sure that you guys are working in collaboration. Instead of coming potentially on that tricky slope of saying that you want to do something, but again, having to say like, I would like us to do this. I would like us to be in alignment, not like I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to do this. This is what we're doing, right? That's what needs to happen right now. Masculine and feminine that are in divine union. This is why the divine union works so well, because this is a masculine energy that, again, holds space for the emotionality. It's almost a masculine energy is getting that benefit of not needing to have so much control over anything. Because what we're effectively identifying right now is this the masculine. Again, what is the masculine realizing in divine union right now? This is a masculine energy in divine union that realizes that when you're in divine union, you don't need to hold on to the reins. You don't need to hold on to the reins, because when you're in divine union, it's going to move in exactly the direction that you want it to move into. It's going to move in exactly the direction that you want it to move into, specifically because you're not in a space or place where you're controlling things. Things are just moving in that way because they desire to move in that way. When you're in that modality, you don't need to have control over everything because like it's imbalance. Like it's like, again, you just need to be a constant gardener. You just need to be an attentive, constant gardener. You don't force the flowers out of the ground. You just let them bloom. Like they'll follow the sun. Like you just need to be that source, and everything will move in the way that you want it to move. And that's why we see that the masculine right now is allowing this to be a space where they feel very emotionally vulnerable, because feminine is also creating a space where it is safe for them to do so. Because feminine is also in that modality where feminine doesn't desire anything else but this, because feminine is seeing that is effectively what feminine was seeking. Masculine, again, continuing to get clarification on these cards right now, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. Continuing to get clarity right now between our King of Wands in combination with our Ace of Pentacles in its reversal. May I please have one card to clarify? We have here, again, our Eight of Cups in its reversal. And again, for masculine and feminine energy right now that is in divine union or divine partnership, what we're effectively seeing is, again, for masculine and feminine in this modality, this is why any of these hurdles, this is why any of these blockages, this is why like even the Mercury retrograde, it isn't like such a big deal. Because even if there's a stoppage, I have to point out, like, you know, if you got like a long bus stop, as long as you're in like a pleasant place, it doesn't matter. It's kind of nice. You're kind of like, I don't mind. We can be here as long as we want, right? It's like, this is lovely. We can stay here. So again, the masculine and feminine in this modality, it's like, even if there are some hurdles right now, masculine isn't necessarily moving into a point of feeling frustration. It's more about the masculine taking the opportunity to figure out where they want to invest their energy going forward. Masculine's almost immediately just going into the planning phase, because again, masculine's almost at a point of security right now in the divine union and partnership that's giving them a little bit of this like ability to kind of see beyond, put their energy where they want to put it. It's all about like where they're putting their attention right now. Feminine, you're seeing the same ability in a masculine right now. Even if you're going through your own personal hurdles right now, feminine, you are potentially also, again, reflecting what the masculine's bringing towards you right now, and also coming into this like planning point to a certain extent, because we see here, again, for the feminine, this is a point of feeling that sense of security. These energies are reflecting each other, that is allowing this to be a moment of recognizing where you're putting your time, effort, and energy right now. Though for feminine, this could be feeling like more of a moment of putting a lot of energy into things. We see that feminine's in a moment of like really over and like really like investing heavily right now in circumstances and situations, but also doing it with a lot of support of the masculine. This is almost helping the feminine energy feel doubly like strengthened in doing that and putting that effort and energy in. Masculine and feminine right now that are moving in divine union or into divine union, this is exactly why we see the feminine is having that point of anxiety right now that needs to effectively be managed and addressed. Because what we are effectively seeing is a moment for feminine of masculine suddenly having a lot of these plans. They feel like a change. They feel like masculine is suddenly over giving in a space or state where they weren't necessarily giving before. And this is a feminine energy that is almost trying to understand. It's almost feminine looking at masculine, being like, can you please explain to me what has happened? Because again, and for masculine, again, it's hard to effectively identify this, because I'm saying that for some of the masculine energy right now, it's almost masculine trying to, remember that egg effect I told you about masculine over that point of crisis that masculine and feminine helped them? It was almost masculine seeing all of those eggs pop into that basket. Masculine almost being like, it's hard for me to articulate, but masculine is almost trying to say to the feminine, you have become my priority here. I have kind of grown into this space or place where it's like, this is where I want to be. And something about the last few days has affirmed the masculine of saying that this is a point where masculine is no longer feeling like that partnership is a blockage. It feels like it's a place where they've decided that they would prefer to be over other places. Masculine and feminine, but this is hard for the masculine to articulate, right? And that's a problem right now. It's hard for the masculine to put into words. They're just trying to let their actions identify it. But again, the divine union energy is a masculine that's going to open up and communicate how they're feeling to the feminine, to give the feminine that sense of understanding, to make the feminine feel less like this is a masculine that's just telling them what it's going to be like, but instead making sure that this feels like a collaborative effort. Masculine and feminine that are in separation right now, this is why we see that the feminine energy is feeling this point of frustration to a certain extent. Because again, for feminine right now, this is a moment of looking to a masculine, and there may be communication. We see here that there's feminine right now with a lot of masculine communication right now, if in separation. The bigger question for feminine right now is where they're investing their time, where they're investing their energy. And the thing that feminine is using to identify that right now is not just the fact that there's communication in place, but making sure that that communication feels productive. Because feminine right now is feeling right now that there's potentially a limitation in some of the masculine energy that's around them that may be communicating as it relates to what they're actually offering. And this is almost a feminine energy looking to the masculine right now. And again, not from like, I have to say, this isn't coming from a state or space of feminine like needing to see some kind of like material opportunity around the masculine, but this is feminine energy almost saying to the masculine, what do you want? What is it that you want? And feminine potentially getting very discerning in terms of that communication, because this is a feminine almost saying, even the communication with the feminine right now is almost reaching a point of saying like, I don't have time to invest in any communication that doesn't feel like there's something productive here. This is feminine getting extremely discerning even in their communication, because we see here that feminine is very much overly investing in their tangible world right now. They're putting a lot of work in. And this is almost a feminine that's saying to themselves they don't need necessarily even have time to build communication with energy unless there is something that is true and real and productive that is going to result, which is why we see that this is feminine energy that is very focused on divine union. Masculine and feminine almost feeling the frustration of energy that they feel has wasted that before, not recognizing how precious the feminine energy's own time, effort, and energy is. Masculine that is moving in, that is in separation right now. This is a moment of, again, deep concentration, deep planning, trying to decide where to put your own effort and energy at this time, specifically because we are identifying that, again, masculine, something has been shown to you, something was revealed to you over the last few days, something that potentially was either a blind spot in your own behavior that it was hard to see, or something that was hard to hear. And this is either a moment that, again, you are utilizing that as a point of observation, wanting to commit your time, effort, and energy into a point of correction as to why that may be the case, what you need to adjust going forward. Or this is a moment of reluctance, of resistance, of not wanting to take that lesson, and instead just identifying that and saying like, well, I guess that's not somewhere I'm going anywhere. I guess that's not a direction I'm heading in anymore. Potentially even like, recognizing right now, again, really trying, I feel like a lot of the masculine energy and separation right now is taking a lot of pause in terms of really asking where you're putting your effort and energy and to what end. Like trying to really identify this, because there's almost a moment where the masculine in different areas of your life are potentially having this moment right now. If you're trying to communicate, and if that communication isn't coming back, it's almost that moment that you're seeing that the energy around you right now is not clear as to what your intentions are. And that's that moment of masculine having to recognize that they need to be more articulate, potentially, if you're in separation, as to what your intentions are, because that in itself may be the optics that were given to you that helped clarify why you're hitting so many of these hurdles in the first place. Everybody's kind of looking at the masculine and asking the masculine if in separation right now, even the energy that's not in partnership with masculine, what is it that you want? What is it that you're seeking? What is it? What are you doing? Like, it's almost like the energy going, what are you looking for? Like continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Ace of Pentacles in its reversal in combination with our Emperor in its reversal. May I please have one card to clarify? The World. Now, masculine and feminine energy right now that are in divine union or partnership. This is effectively what we're recognizing and seeing this happening, because what we're effectively seeing right now for the energy in divine union and partnership is this moment that identifies the fact that for both energies, there is a feeling of abundance that's coming into play. And that's what I mean about the fact that even if there's a slowdown right now occurring due to the Mercury retrograde, it's not feeling like something that feels as frustrating. It just means that it almost feels like a point of frustration, because it feels to a certain degree like masculine and feminine just feel like they have to work a little harder to make things move the way that they want them to move. It's not that things aren't moving the direction that they want them to move into. It just it's almost amplifying in divine union right now that you have to push the wheel a bit harder than you typically would. You got to like put a little bit more elbow grease in the wheel, if you will, to get that to get that wheel to like push, and it's okay because you got the elbow grease behind it. You got the divine union energy. And masculine, one of the things you appreciate about it is you feel like you're not doing it alone. That's the whole point. Not only does masculine feel to a certain extent right now that you're not pushing that wheel alone, you're also feeling that like you're not like having to hold the reins. You're also feeling the fact that like you don't have to push the wheel like as hard because you got the energy around you, the partnership that's helping you like keep the wheel going. It's like it's all going to be fine. It's all just keep moving, And for masculine right now, it's almost that point of, again, putting a lot of elbow grease into things right now. Now, feminine energy that is in divine union right now, this is that moment that, again, feminine's almost looking at the masculine. This is feminine energy that's in divine union with masculine, out of complete desire. Like, this is feminine saying, like, this is why the feminine energy is in the energy of being with the divine masculine energy here, because we see here that this is a feminine that feels to a certain extent that this is almost a feminine that sees that there's a masculine that basically says, I am here to support you no matter what. Wherever you are, whatever you feel, I'm not here in a space or place to try to control this relationship or to drive things forward. This is us effectively both. Like, this is a feminine that's being like held up. This is a feminine that's being supported. This is a feminine that's being nourished in the partnership. And this is a feminine that feels like, again, this is a mutual partnership of a masculine that is honoring the feminine space right now by coming into alignment with their own feminine center. And this is why we see that this is a feminine that is almost a feminine. This is almost a masculine that's not even asking feminine for help right now. This is a feminine that's almost like rushing forward to the masculine and saying, what can I do to help? How can I help you? What do you need? I've got you. Whatever you need, I got it. I'm here to help you with this. Because this is a feminine that, again, this is how the feminine energy is giving back to a masculine. Because this is a feminine that's saying to the masculine, because you allow me to be my best self, I am going to do everything I can to help us both through any of the hurdles and difficulties. Masculine and feminine trying to come into divine union right now. Okay? This is that moment. What is happening right now? And you got to be a little careful, masculines, because what's happening right now? Masculine And this might start feeling a little unilateral. And this is a problem for the energy trying to come into divine union right now. Because what do we see happen? We see the masculine energy. You've had this moment right now that you're creating a bit of a shift. You have this moment right now. You want to move into divine union. You're potentially pushing a little hard right now and being like, this is what I want right now. But feminine's having this moment of being like, I know, but you need to slow down because I'm feeling nervous. And this is that moment that we are identifying if this is actually moving into the divine union frequency, because if this is a masculine that is going to get mad that things aren't going the way that they want, if this is a masculine that's going, I'm trying to give you something, why won't you take it? I'm trying to give this to you. This is something, because this is now the feminine potentially feeling, if this is a masculine that's forcing something forward when the feminine is showing trepidation, this is a masculine the feminine is seeing as not necessarily actually in divine union. This is more masculine that is saying, I'm telling you what I want to do. Why won't you do it with me? Instead of moving into the flow state of being like, this is something I would really like to do, and I would like you to be my partner in this together. This is something that I would like us equally to move into. If you're not feeling comfortable right now, what do I need to do to make you feel comfortable? What do I have to do to make this be a partnership, a divine union? Because again, you can't force a divine union. There's almost masculine being like, I'm ready for divine union. And feminine being like, slow down. And masculine's like, no, we're doing divine union right now. And feminine being like, you don't get it. You don't get it. You don't get it. Right? Like, great, but you don't get it, right? So again, feminine is basically saying to masculine right now, if trying to come into the divine union frequency, I also want that. But we can take our time. We don't need to rush. We can do things in a way that feels consistent, because feminine, the divine union is the consistency. Do you get it? Do you get what I'm trying to tell you? Do you get what I'm trying to tell you? The divine union isn't the action. It is the consistency. It is the flow state. And that is what the feminine is trying to see. Okay? And the masculine, either you're picking up on this right now, or you're it's just like over the head, out the window, through the window, breaks the window, like the baseball bat, like the baseball just like shatters everything. You're back in separation again. Okay? You understand what I'm trying to tell you? Like, it's not something, again, feminine's almost trying to say to masculine, what you're asking for, you can't just give. There's not something you can give and suddenly we're in that modality. It's something we exist in. It's a groove. We have to be in the groove. We have to be in that flow state. Are you going to be in that divine union flow state with me? Or are you going to be all, this is how it's going to be? Right? No. So for masculine and feminine going through this right now, this is going to feel a little bit like that make or break point. Because either that's like that, that's moving into that, right? That's that engine turning on, right? The engine's already turned on if it's turned on. Or this is someone being like, I control the engine. Being like, that seems like a lot of work. Okay? Now, masculine and feminine in separation right now, this is exactly why feminine's potentially closing anything that isn't in this state. Because this is the feminine energy that, again, feminine is literally coming into the flow state on their own. This is feminine pouring their own effort and energy into themselves right now, because feminine's almost like, I'm just going to embody that flow state for myself. And feminine recognizing that anyone that doesn't want to like embody that flow state with them is going to effectively stop it. This is feminine literally looking at the energy around them right now. And again, why they're moving in such a state or caution. Because this is feminine being very careful and discerning about who they let into their flow state. Because they realize the fact that a lot of the masculine energy, again, if the masculine energy isn't in a space or place of healing, could interrupt that flow state. And feminine doesn't want to be in a space or place of having that flow state interrupted by an energy that doesn't realize that like a flow state isn't a flow state because you don't control a flow state. You just cultivate a flow state. And this is why a feminine isn't rushing forward and trying to get a masculine to participate in that with them. Feminine's just like, you either want that or you don't. Okay? Masculine energy. And feminine is feeling the frustration of potentially trying to move away from energy right now that wants to effectively call the shots. That wants to effectively be the person that decides like when and where that is. But feminine is looking for something that integrates into their entire life. Masculine that is in separation right now, this is a moment that, again, for you, we are seeing that this is a point of, again, it is not the fact that you aren't moving in separation right now, but there's a deeper question as to why. This is feeling much more like a moment of a deep internal questioning potentially rising to the surface, because while we see that you may be putting a lot of time and effort and energy into something right now, there is a moment that is challenging your own sense of control. And this could be a moment where you're really asking yourself, there's a lot of energy right now for the masculine energy and separation saying, what is that bigger picture? What is that? What is this? What is this for? What is that thing that you're doing? What does it all mean? Like, it's almost coming to this space right now. And again, for a lot of the masculine energy and separation right now, this could be a moment that, like, you're taking a lot of pause for yourself to really look at things from like a larger optics in terms of the bigger picture of your life at this time, to really almost feel to yourself, like, what is this? What is the shape of this? What do you want your life to look like? And that in itself is how the masculine is effectively determining right now what direction to move into, by having that point of stopping and saying to themselves, what is it that you're trying to cultivate to help build that point of direction on where you're going to put your efforts going forward. Final card for today's spread, between our 8 of Cups in its reversal in combination with our World card. May I please have one card to clarify? We've got here our Page of Cups in its upright, and I'm not surprised to see it. We had this card coming up last week. It's fine. So what are we seeing here effectively? So masculine and feminine energy right now that are in divine union and partnership. Why is masculine all like easy peasy right now? Masculine energy is all easy peasy right now because I just told you that masculine energy is not the fact that things aren't going like, it's not that everything's moving at like the speed or direction, but it's moving. Things are moving. Masculine just feels like, again, they're not in a rush. I told you, this is feeling a little bit for the masculine energy right now that's in this moment. It's like this, it's like the bus stop, but like the bus stopped in like a really pretty place. You know, it's like, oh, this is nice. Let's get out to look at the view, right? Like, let's just hang out here for a minute and just like enjoy what we see, okay? Because this is a masculine energy that's feeling that supportive energy around them. It's like the masculine is almost like in a space or state right now of in divine union, of being able to enjoy the fruits of your labor. Of, again, it's not the fact that things are moving, but it's the fact that you don't really care that they're not moving because things are in a pleasant place. Feminine, you're potentially feeling the same thing. You're like, this is nice. It's a nice place. It's okay if things aren't moving at the speed that one desires, because the space that you find yourself in right now is a lovely space. It's like you don't mind being there. Again, that's that beauty of it. And for feminine and masculine, one of the only things that's a challenge right now, the only thing that's a challenge in this space is how we see the energies are moving. Because the feminine energy is using this as a moment of trying to get everything done. Feminine is in flow state. Feminine is just trying to get everything done. They're just little busy bees today, trying to do as much as they possibly can. Masculine's ready to like rest, put their feet up. Masculine's ready to take it easy. Masculine's ready to like come into a state or space of easement. And that's the only difficulty, is this potentially is a masculine that's like trying to say to feminine, like, let's just relax. And feminine being like, what? Do what? What? What's that word? What is that word that starts with an R? What are you, nuts? Like, feminine is like, no. I'm like, I'm doing all this stuff right now. I can't be bothered to relax. Masculine and feminine right now that are in divine, they're moving into divine union. This is the problem, because again, feminine is potentially trying to amplify to masculine right now, especially if feminine is trying to put the brakes on something. That this is not feminine energy trying to put the brakes on something. This is feminine energy looking at masculine and saying, are you serious? Is this something that you actually desire? Or is this a passing fancy? Is this something that has just captivated your attention for a moment? And like a butterfly, you're going to fly off and want to do something else. This is a feminine almost saying, if this is real, then it doesn't need to be rushed. If this is real, then it's real. If this is real, the consistency of it will be key. It won't be a passing fancy. It won't be something that if we wait, like, show me, prove to me with time, with effort, with attention, with energy, that this is something that you can maintain, that this is actually a shift that's occurring. And feminine's basically saying like then we can proceed forward in this way. Masculine, if you're moving into divine partnership right now, again, this is either a moment that you're kind of getting this. You're taking that moment, and again, you're trying to say to the feminine, I get it. I understand what you're saying. I see what you're trying to tell me. And the masculine potentially, again, not letting this become a point of conflict, but instead utilizing this and trying to say to the feminine through emotional expression, I'm offering this to you because this is where I want to be. And almost like moving into a state of easement, bringing this into a point of giving the feminine energy, not more grief, but enjoyment, delight, saying to her almost like, this is something that like I want to give you as a gift, as something to show you that we're moving in a positive way. Easing the feminine's anxieties to help the feminine come into that state of flow. Again, divine union. You're probably already there if you're already seeing this. If masculine and feminine, though, again, if this is a moment that if you're trying to move into this state and you let that moment come through of the masculine, again, of feminine basically holding back on the masculine, feeling that anxiety point, saying to the masculine, oh, I think that you're just, I think that you're just being silly or diminishing this. This is a masculine that may potentially, again, this is why feminine needs to be like very mindful of the fact that the masculine is trying to do something here and not diminish it. Because this is almost a masculine that if the feminine says to them, you got to be joking, this could be a masculine that goes, oh yeah, of course I was. Yeah, no, I was just joking. Yeah, I didn't mean that. Because this is a masculine that may feel very sensitive about the emotionality of something. So feminine, make sure that you don't accidentally like negate something that masculine's trying to bring you in a genuine space and place by diminishing it, because we almost see the masculine is reflecting now what the feminine is giving forth at this time. So being able to really amplify and recognize that will effectively help the masculine rise into that divine union frequency instead of belittling anything that they may be trying to bring towards you at this time. Now, masculine and feminine that are in separation, this is why we see this is a feminine energy that is effectively calling their energy back, calling their own energy back. And again, the biggest concern for the feminine is not the fact that there isn't a lot of masculine energy around them at this time. It's feminine using a lot of discernment to identify the difference between a masculine that actually has long-term intentionality, i.e. consistency, versus a lot of energy right now of masculine that may feel like they're only coming towards them from a state or space of delight or their own enjoyment. And this is a feminine, again, almost ignoring and not paying attention to that energy to a certain extent, because feminine's almost looking at them as energy that, again, is almost a point of distraction as opposed to intention. And feminine, that literally, feminine is using that point of discernment right now and saying like, are you just coming to distract me for what I'm trying to do? Or do you actually want to be a part of it? Masculine in separation right now, you could be feeling this right now. This could be creating a point of like frustration right now for masculine, because again, this could be a masculine that again is either trying to reach towards a lot of feminine energy right now, bearing in mind this is not based on gender but what it feels most aligned to, but again, almost the feminine being like too busy, has too many things going on. And masculine, you may be feeling a little bit put out, because again, it's almost this moment of again identifying and recognizing that those options that you may have tried to leave yourself open to, they're kind of leaving you like in a more of a place of solitude right now, because this is feminine energy that again is not interested in energy that feels like they're not coming with a lot of intentionality at this time, but it's feeling like more of a distraction. Which is why we see for the masculine energy in this modality right now, there could be a moment of trying to identify and articulate. It's almost this feeling of masculine if in solitude or in separation right now, feeling like this desire to move forward towards some energy right now, but not necessarily having anyone available to have those points with. Bottom of the deck on this reading right now is Seven of Cups in its reversal. So one of the things that we're effectively seeing right now for all of the energies at play is everyone is getting a lot clearer on what it is that they're truly after. And it's giving a lot of shifts, because again, it's almost this moment of all of the energy coming into a state or space wherein there isn't a point of feeling like you've got time for distractions. Nobody's got time for distractions right now. Anything coming through from a distraction is just almost like, I'm sorry, I got other stuff to do. And this is almost that moment of, again, what you've put into things right now is now going to kind of show the fruits. Because again, for the energy right now that's in that modality, it's really focusing on what is important and letting the rest kind of drift to the side. It's like, doesn't need your attention, doesn't get your attention. Not enough time for it. Masculine and feminine in divine union right now is more of that point of feeling like there's a lot of distractions around you right now, just trying to pick which direction to move into. Picking like your battles, picking that course. Masculine and feminine that are moving into divine union right now, this is the feminine anxiety of a masculine that might not necessarily know what they want, because the masculine has shifted so quickly right now. Feminine doesn't know if they can trust what the masculine's bringing towards them right now. It's creating a point of pause for feminine. It's not that the feminine is finally getting what they want from the masculine. It's even at this moment, the feminine's feeling the trepidation that this could be a masculine that may change their mind at any moment because it's been such an abrupt shift. Masculine in separation right now, this is the frustration of knowing what it is that you want at this time and feeling like the feminine energy doesn't trust you in that. Empathy is key. You guys both want the same thing. One of you is just being more cautious about it. Masculine and feminine in separation right now, this is feminine energy, again, having to hold the stoicism of truly what they're trying to manifest, regardless of how they feel about an energy. It's not about love. This has nothing to do with love right now. This is feminine potentially even breaking away from any partnerships that they feel are not balanced, specifically for the sake of being able to focus on what it is that they truly desire at this time, which is, again, potentially balanced energy with masculine. Masculine in separation right now. This could be a lot of internal questioning right now as it relates to what it is that you truly desire. Not just even from the part of the feminine, but what it is, like what the shape of that looks like. What it is that has you, especially if you've been breaking away from a lot of feminine energy. What is that journey? What is it that you are truly seeking, that you continue to seek? That is our daily collective read for today. I want to thank you guys so much for being here with me today and experiencing it. Just a reminder, if you would like to book a private reading with me, you can book one on my website, graystrega.com. Please keep in mind, if you book a private reading with me, it is a two-step process. You have to book the reading, you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you do both if you would like to have that reading. Also, please keep in mind, if you book a private reading with me, I will never, ever, 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 ever reach out to you for a private reading. I will never PM you. I will never DM you. I will never slide into your inbox and tell you that I have a very important message that only I can deliver. The only way you can book a reading with me is if you book one on my website. So I encourage you to do it there. I want to thank you guys so much for being here with me today and sharing with me in this reading. And we will do this again tomorrow. Guys, that is the collective read.